Hi and welcome to Michael's Musings on Music. Today I want to talk about the string instruments of the orchestra, the violin, the viola, the cello, and the bass. Now these make a sound by drawing the bow across the strings that causes them to vibrate. And each instrument has 4 strings, and these strings, believe it or not, were originally made from the intestinal walls of sheep called catgut, and this produced a very mellow sound. These days, the strings are made out of steel, which holds the pitch better and certainly projects better as well. The bow is made out of wood, and the part of the bow that makes contact with the string is actually made of horsehair. Now, there are artificial substitutes, but nothing works as well as good old-fashioned horsehair. Now, you tune the violin by turning the pegs at the top of the instrument. That tightens or loosens the string. There's also small pegs down, kind of a little micro screw further down the instrument that is good for fine tuning. Now, creating a superior string instrument takes an almost magical alchemical combination of materials, workmanship, varnish, baking, and a bit of luck. Now, the string soloists that we have here at the Kennett Symphony play on these superior instruments. For example, David Kim, who's the concertmaster of the Philadelphia Orchestra, will be joining us in October to perform the Beethoven's Violin Concerto, and his instrument was created in the 1700s and is valued at well over $1 million. So to play, the player will press down with their left-hand finger on the fingerboard, essentially shortening the string to get the desired note. Now, through the years of practice, the players learn exactly where to place their left-hand fingers to get the note they want. That's the basics. Easy, right? But I want to talk now a little bit about the many different string instrument techniques that affect the sound. Because as a conductor, you need to know about these techniques, especially if you're not a string player, because you have to know what to ask in rehearsal in order to get the different sounds and different colors that the music needs. So let me start with a left-hand technique. If you're in the audience at one of our concerts, you may notice that the string players with their left hand on the fingerboard don't just keep their finger still. They move them back and forth. This is called vibrato. It's a slight varying of the pitch, which gives the note a great warmth. Now, what's also effective is to play notes non-vibrato, which gives kind of a hollow and dry sound to the note. It's even possible to alter the vibrato, fast as compared to slow vibrato, wide as compared to narrow, and all of these produce slightly different sounds and moods. Now let's talk about the bow arm now. The bowing direction, as you know, is all similar. Everyone moves up and down at the same time. So the string instruments play at the same direction all the time. This achieves a unity of phrasing and articulation. Also affecting the sound is what part of the bow the string player will play in. If you want a light, ethereal sound, you play near the tip of the bow where it's lighter. If you want a robust, heavy sound, you play at the other end of the bow, what we call the frog. You can also alter the contact point. That means the place where the bow plays on the string, the contact point. And if you play farther up the instrument, nearer the fingerboard, you get this whispery sound, which we call sul tasto. If you go the other direction, the contact point is lower down, closer to the instrument, closer to what we call the bridge. You get this bright and intense sound, which is called sul ponticello. Also affecting the sound is the bow pressure, how much pressure you put on the bow, how fast the bow moves. There's also different bowing techniques, which are sometimes classified as on-the-string techniques and off-the-string techniques. An on-the-string technique is where the bow remains in contact with the string at all times. Off-the-string technique, as the name suggests, is where the bow brushes or skips or bounces off the string. Now, all these techniques, as I mentioned, make a very big difference in the quality of the sound, the color of the sound, and it's something that a string instrumentalist has in his or her toolbox. Of course, there are times when you put the bow down and you actually pluck the string. That's called pizzicato. They have the ability to play more than one note at the same time as well, playing multiple strings simultaneously. Many of these techniques, by the way, you can see our concertmaster Eliezer Gutmann do on our website, our YouTube video and our Facebook page when he's playing the Sarasate piece. So the string section consists of violins, violin 1, violin 2. They are separate sections and they play different music. All right, so you have the violin 1, violin 2. Then you have the violas, which is a slightly larger instrument. Sometimes when you're sitting in the audience and you look up on the stage, it's hard to tell the difference. They're not that much bigger than the violin, and they're still played under your chin. But the sound is quite different, more robust, darker sound. You have the cellos, the beautiful singing instrument, the cello, and then the basses that fill out the low end of the string section. So that's your string section in the orchestra. A quick word on the setup, on how they're set up. There's nothing is set in stone. The way I like to do it, the way the Kennett Symphony does it, the way a lot of orchestras do it, is you have, as you're now facing the orchestra on the stage, violin 1 on this side, on the left-hand side, violin 2, viola, cello, basses. That's oftentimes the standard, the setup. I want to talk about two variations that are very interesting. One is the first violin's here, the second violin's on the other side. So they're facing each other on the left-hand side, right-hand side. What this achieves is sort of a stereo effect, and especially some of the classical music of Mozart and Haydn, will take full advantage of this stereo effect of the two sections as opposed to them being lumped in the same place. Also, you might see a situation where the cellos, instead of sitting on the far right, actually more in the middle. They face the audience, and this is good because a lot of the sound from the cello comes from the front. So you'll get a much better sound, or at least a clearer sound, if the cellos are facing the audience as well as the basses. But like I said, there's many different ways to set up the orchestra. Never is it the case where the violin's beside a cello, beside a viola, although that might be interesting actually to try one time. Again, if you have any questions at all or any comments at all, feel free to write in the comment box on our Facebook page, or send an email to askmichael@kennettsymphony.org. Next time we'll talk about the wind instruments of the orchestra.